Hello students, welcome back to discuss the part 3 of dielectric materials. Okay. Now in this video, we are going to discuss about the internal fields, or it is also called Lorentz field, in liquids or in solids. Okay, we have to derive an expression for internal field. So now let us consider the a material. So first of all, a dielectric material is considered here. Okay, in the form of certain atoms, in the form of an array of atoms in one dimension. Okay, so once the field is applied on any dielectric material, what is the internal field in this case? The internal field or the local field is the electric field that acts at the site of any given atom of a solid, or even in case of a liquid dielectric, subjected to an external electric field. That means the dielectric must be applied with a certain external electric field, and it is the resultant of applied field and field due to all surrounding dipoles. Okay, so internal field is just the sum of the field applied, sum of the applied field and the field which is generated due to all other surrounding dipoles also. Okay, now let us consider a dielectric material, either a liquid or solid, kept in an external uniform electric field of strength E. Clear? In the material, let us consider an array of equidistant atomic dipoles, as I said. Okay, so now we can see that they are arranged parallel to the direction of the field as seen in the figure. Okay, so that means here the atoms are considered as X. So X is our reference atom where the total internal field must be calculated. So at this side, so on either side we have the distribution of atoms like A1 on either side, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, etc. Okay, so all dipoles you can see here are aligned in the direction of the applied field. So here is the direction of applied field. So to this direction of the applied field, the dipoles are parallel to each other. Okay, now this linear array of atoms in electric field is considered with equal interatomic distance, that is taken as d here. Clear? Now let us say, as you know, mu is the dipole moment of each atomic field. Then the total field at X due to all other dipoles and applied field can be found as follows here. So first what you have to consider, choose a dipole consisting of positive or negative charge with some separation. Okay, now due to this dipole, electric dipole, what is the electric field at this point at a distance r? Okay, so we are considering at a point which is inclined at the angle theta. Okay, distance is r. So this electric field is actually E, and it is resolved into two components here, E theta and Er. So these are the two components of the actual field at the given point due to one dipole. Okay, now you see here, we know that the components of electric field at a point P, okay, see this is a point P actually, so due to an electric dipoles are given by, okay, due to one dipole is given by the components Er mu cos theta divided by 2 pi epsilon into r cube. Okay, so this is called actually the radial component because it is acting along the radius, isn't it? Radius of this circle from the center of the dipole. Okay, so this radial component is given by Er is equal to mu cos theta by 2 pi epsilon into r cube. Let it be equation number 1. Now what about the other component E theta, which is equal to mu sin theta divided by 4 pi epsilon into r cube. Okay, so now this is the E theta component. Okay, transverse component and radial component, like that two components will be there for the actual electric field at the point P here. Now using the above, let us calculate the electric field at X due to the dipole A1. So there is a dipole at the left side A1. So now calculate the electric field at X due to dipole A1 first. Okay, using the above, so since the distance of X from A1 is how much? D, and since the direction of dipole moment of both are collinear, so both are the same line, you can call it as both are collinear. So what is the distance? R is equal to D. In the above equation you have to substitute the distance as now R is equal to D, and they are the same line, so therefore theta is also equal to 0. So then the value of Er is equal to how much? Mu into cos 0. Cos 0 is equal to 1, therefore just mu divided by 2 pi epsilon into, instead of r cube we should write down d cube, that's it. So whereas E theta equal to 0, because in the E theta we have sine 0. Sine 0 is equal to 0. Therefore, E theta is equal to 0. Second component is 0 now. Then the field at x due to A1 is given by ER plus E theta, So that is equal to only mu divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into dq. Okay. Similarly, now consider the dipole at the right side. So that is considered as dipole A2. Since it is situated symmetrically on other side of x, its field at x will be is equal to just mu by 2 pi epsilon naught into dq. Okay, both are same. So that means the field due to A1 and field due to A2 both are same. That is mu divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into dq only. Now the field E1 at x, okay, due to both the dipoles, you see both the dipoles must be considered as E1 is equal to 2 times of the same component mu by 2 pi epsilon naught into dq. Okay, so if we cancel 2 here, you will get only mu by 4 pi epsilon naught into dq. Okay, if we consider the two dipoles like B1, B2, so each of which is located at a distance d plus 2d. d plus d 2d, isn't it? Total distance from x is 2d. Then the field E2 at x due to both of them must be equal to how much? E2 is equal to mu divided by pi epsilon naught into 2d, because in place of d distance you have to write now double distance, that is 2d whole cube. Similarly, the field at x due to the dipole C1 and C2, okay, which are at the distance how much? 3d from x, isn't it? So just substitute now in place of d as 3d. So you will get the field at x due to the two dipoles C1, C2 as E3 is equal to mu divided by pi epsilon naught into 3d whole cube. Like that, you are calculating the field at x due to two dipoles each, A1, A2, B1, B2 and C1, C2. Now let us see what is the total dipole, the total field induced at x due to all the dipoles in the linear array. So that is you take it as E dash. Okay, the total field, internal field is taken here as E dash. E1 is equal to E1 plus E2 plus E3. Just substitute the equations of E1, E2 and E3. So in the equation mu by pi epsilon d cube is common, left with 1 plus 1 by 2 cube plus 1 by 3 cube, etc. So that you can write it as summation of sigma n is equal to 1 to infinity as 1 by n cube is the ratio, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. You will get back the same summation, right? So, but we know that mathematically sigma 1 by n cube, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. it is approximately equal to just 1.2 only. Okay. So now it is very easy to see the E dash value. E dash is equal to how much now? The summation is 1.2 contribution into mu divided by pi epsilon naught into dq. Okay, that is equation 3. So what is the total field at x? Okay, at the site x, which is the internal field E dash EI, that is actually taken as EI here, is the sum of the applied field E and the field due to all dipoles, that is E dash. Okay, so you should write it as the internal field now EI is equal to the applied field E plus the field due to dipoles E dash. So you can substitute the equation of E dash only here. E plus 1.2 mu by pi epsilon naught into dq. Clear? Now see, if alpha is the polarization for the material, if we consider the polarizability factor as alpha, then what is the dipole moment? Mu is equal to alpha into E, isn't it? So that you can substitute now in the internal field EI is equal to E plus 1.2 alpha into mu divided by pi epsilon dq. Here the previous equation mu is substituted as alpha into E. So since alpha, E and epsilon naught and d are all positive quantities here, right? So we can expect that EI, the total internal field, is greater than the applied field E, correct? So now this equation 6 is only for one dimensional array of atoms. We are taking only one dimensional array of atom in the directrix, but it is a solid, so we can expect that it must be three-dimensional array of atoms must be there in the material. So therefore, for three-dimensional material, the general equation for internal field must be expressed as EI is equal to again E plus so gamma by epsilon naught into P. Okay. So generalized equation for three-dimensional case. So in this equation, what is P? P is the dipole moment per unit volume, okay, of the material, and gamma is the proportionality constant called internal field constant here. Okay. Now, in 3D cases, if it is the cubic lattice, then it can be shown as the value of gamma is equal to just 1 by 3 for cubic crystal particularly. Okay. The internal field is named as Lagrange field. Okay. By considering the cubic crystal, you can get the expression for the Lagrange field. It is obtained by Lagrange, and hence it is called Lagrange. Internal field is called Lagrange field. So, what is that? E Lagrange is equal to E plus P divided by 3 epsilon. Gamma is substituted as 1 by 3 in this equation. Clear? So, that is all about the expression for Lagrange field, or in general internal field. Okay. So, what is the next part of the derivation? Let us see. So, that is called Clausius-Mosette relation. The Clausius-Mosette equation or relation. Now, to derive this equation, so consider an elemental solid dielectric, okay, of dielectric constant epsilon r. So, it has certain constant called epsilon r, relative permeability. Okay. If n is the number of atoms per unit volume of the material, then here mu is taken as atomic dipole moment as usual. Then we can write the equation for dipole moment per unit volume as n into mu. Okay, product n into mu. Here the field experienced by the atom is internal field EI, and hence we can say alpha E is the electronic polarizability of atoms. So we can write the equation for mu as now mu is equal to alpha E into EI. Okay, product of electronic polarizability into internal field. Equation 2, that is clear. Now equation 1 becomes what? Dipole moment per unit volume. So you can just substitute mu as so alpha E into EI, n into alpha E into EI, equation 3. Now in this equation 3, so left side is same as the polarization. You can write it as P is equal to n into alpha E into EI, equation for polarization. Okay. The cross multiplication, again EI is equal to P by n into alpha E. So, but we have the relation for P, standard equation for P in terms of permittivity of free space. Epsilon naught, relative permittivity, epsilon naught. So, therefore, epsilon naught into epsilon naught minus 1 into E, okay, where E is the applied field. Now, compare these two equations. So, you will get E is equal to, in this equation, E is equal to P divided by epsilon naught into epsilon naught minus 1 as equation 6. Okay. Also, we have the equation for internal field as EI is equal to E plus gamma by epsilon naught into P. That is equation 7. So, where gamma is called internal field constant. Substituting for EI, E from all these equations 5, 6 and 7, the previous equations, we will get the equation like P by n alpha E is equal to P by epsilon naught into epsilon naught minus 1 plus gamma by epsilon naught into P. Okay, just cancel P on either side. So, left with 1 by n alpha E is equal to 1 by epsilon naught into 1 by epsilon naught minus 1 plus gamma. Now, considering the internal field in the material to be Lagrange field, let us say. So, you know that for Lagrange field, gamma is equal to 1 by 3. Substituting the same in the above equation, you will get by substituting this gamma is equal to 1 by 3. Same equation, gamma is equal to 1 by 3. Okay. Now, simplify this equation. Like mathematically, LCM is 3 into epsilon naught minus 1. So, in the above, 3 plus epsilon naught minus 1. Simplified is epsilon naught plus 2. Okay. 1 by epsilon naught into epsilon naught plus 2 divided by 3 into epsilon naught minus 1. Clear? So, by rearranging the above equation, so what we want here is epsilon naught minus 1 divided by epsilon naught plus 2. Okay. So, that is equal to left with only n alpha E divided by 3 epsilon naught in the above equation. So, this equation 8, particularly equation 8 is called Clausius-Mosette equation. Okay. And it holds good for crystals of high degree of symmetry. So, normally the cubic type of crystals are high degree of symmetry. So, it is applicable for such cubic type of crystals. The equation provides a relation between epsilon r, dielectric constant, which is the microscopically measurable quantity. Alpha is the electronic polarizability, okay, which is an atomic property also. So, you can say microscopic. This is microscopic. So, this is all about the derivation of Clausius-Mosette equation. Clear? So, next class, okay, I think the next video, so we can discuss about the dielectric breakdown concept. Till then, we can practice these two derivations. Okay. Thank you.